Good morning, ladies. My name is Fez, and welcome to the What If Zobon was in My Hero Academia. So, yeah, Zobon is a very powerful character, and he's very powerful. He's basically a zombie. Remember that song Cradle to the Grave one? Well, he was different. So, yeah, his when he was born, or when he was just a kid, or when he was born, and that's his mother. So she says to her, or to her husband, that I'm gonna leave you until like more 20 years, or 20 weeks, or years, or more, to just clear my head. Because Zobon was always constantly hearing them argue. And after she left, then Zobon's dad, and I'll just use him, treats him as Ling to be literally to inherit the infinity power of his. Or he actually does have an infinity power and zombified quirk thing, or power. So, yeah. He also has zero as a power. But his quirk is called strength modification, and he also has the fourth power called pain notification. Or pain negate, should I say. So, yeah. So, his father overworks him, and he didn't go to school or to learn, so he's trained harder, and he doesn't speak, only his own words, or he doesn't train himself, or train himself as his father says. Good job, son. Now say, or he says brains all the time. As now to get you into UA. As they get into UA, because most of his life was being abused. uh, through most of his life. So, from age of 4 to age of 15. As who else is joining UA? None other than Toga. Yep, I'm bringing Toga in this. As he slams his, or like, his intelligence. He got 90, or no, he got 100%, and he was done before everyone else. Plus, and his father and mother are both pro heroes. So basically, he's the worst pro hero. So yeah, he's the greediest hero. So yeah, so next, and his mother was her quirk. Her allows her to basically does the same thing as her, but instead of saying like the name, she has basically a reality power. And her quirk is actually a same thing as Music Mike, but instead of using her voice thing, she uses her hands. She's basically like the I forget his name. There, hold on, give me a moment. And okay, and it was in. Give me a moment. Here he is. This guy. She has the same powers as him to shatter through stuff. But, and she's also immortal. So, yeah. So, now so he can basically, his only words would be like brain. So, yeah. He basically tells, or he actually, the, or he actually, during that robot thing, he actually went all like, went all savage. Like, he literally tore a robot into pieces. That spooks most of them. And Toga, with a weird mindset, and she decides, this is pretty cool. Let's see what, as Principal Nezu, who says it's time to release Zero Pointer. As a Zero Pointer goes off, and plus, you might be wondering about before, like, what the heck am I looking at? My original plan was for, or actually, she is the friend to her. So, yeah, it's her best friend. So then when the zombie boy over there, Zombone, saw the Zero Pointer, he went all savage. Like, literally, he grabs the Zero Pointer's head and ripped it off of its own body and threw it across the entire city. And he actually did get rescue point thing. From saving the toga from, or actually saves a couple people more. So he's like, brains? As Toga wanted to, so, yeah, she got the same score as him, so he's basically on they're both in class 1A with the rest of the students, the rest of them. So yeah, basically yeah. So, and I'm skipping the ball throw, or actually the rest of it except for Zombone. As when Mr. Aizawa, when Mr. Aizawa handed him a ball to throw it, as he instead, when he looked at it, it reminded him of a fruit. As he opened his mouth and chomped on it. Like, Mr. Aizawa and as he wipes his mouth, brain. His words were brain. As Guess you never knew how to throw things. Here, just throw it. As he threw the ball, and it when he did, it broke, or not broke. Thus, he broke the score of, or he actually made Mr. Zawa's like thing explode. But Zombones moves fast, so he went grabs the machine and it exploded. Onan, or he actually ate the thing. Boom. Yeah. As some of them might find that freaky. Okay. But so now the US, or at here's where the villain owns. Let's say both All Might and sorry if I'm making you sick by doing that. It's and her. Of course, she already met Zombone once, or Zombone, and she says, "How's my favorite friend is doing? Brain thing." As I'll take that as a yes, because she did not know that it got so bad to so yeah, he's basically so during the heroes versus villains thing, they got to pair it up like basically Toga and Zombie Boy, or the Zombone, has we're playing as the heroes or villains because as they're more demonic. They look demonic, but as and who their opponent is? Momo and Todoroki. So, yeah. Basically, when they were setting up, as Toga explains the plan of sending him or sending herself to the front lines, and you just guard the bomb. As he says, brain, as he's tilting his head. As she knows that he's listening, but he's she also knows that he's trying to listen to that. As his brains, as he literally stands looking at it as Toga goes downstairs. As he had snacks on him. So he basically ain't when he's just waiting. As Todoroki decides to use freeze move. And basically all the way through. No? Except for him, because he's used to the cold. As so when he got up, as Momo and Todoroki got in, they immediately got grabbed by a throat by Zobon. As he was upset that someone had ice power to freeze his sandwich. As he basically slams them so hard they were, as even some people are trying to. So Omen called it a villain's win, as Toga is happy about it. So, couple so the USJ incident happened, or actually after that, his mother's friend and was visiting with him, and she was disappointed of what her friend's husband's doing to their child. And so Almine looks at her and says, "Do you understand that zombie language thing?" As she says, "Yeah, but he wasn't, or when he was just a toddler, I always went over to their house," and she actually says that I see joys of hopes thing. But now, he's basically he's basically now a walking corpses. As when he got home, his father says, "Finally, you got home. We need to start training your power again." As he starts doing it all over again. And during the USJ, when they showed up in the car, he's away from everybody. As they're like asking everybody else. But they did forget about his friend. Or like their friend that was. So they show up. So the students show up at USJ. They get ambushed by a bunch of villains. They're not low tier, they're high tier. As most of them are freaking out of but only person that's really calm is zobon, because he's the opposite. So he walks over to the door, uses his strength enhanced body as he slams it wide open. Like the automatic doors was no match for him. Go. And they said they know. So they go, and of course, Razorhead and Razorhead's down there. They were gonna kill him. So, yeah. But zobon turns around and he says, "Brain, brain, brain, brain." As 13 has like a little translator. I'll go get, and it says, "I'll go get the Mr. Aizawa. It's not going to be pretty." As he literally flies down, he like grabs the Nomu's arm before it hits the Mr. Aizawa, and he says, "Brain, brain, brain," as he literally grabs, or he went right behind in and grabs the Nomu's brain, rips it right out of its socket. Yeah. And ate the entire brain. And he looked like that after he was done. As he says, "Brain, brain, brain." And as some of those high tier villains are a little bit shocked about what just happened. And yeah. So when they saw them looking, or actually Mr. Aizawa was completely knocked out, as zobon went all like Super Saiyan, and he basically killed every high tier villains without slowing down and ate their entire bodies, like cleaned up the crime scene and murdering them. So yeah, as there was literal blood comes down in front of his shirt. As yeah, he basically walks, or he grabs Mr. Aizawa, puts him on his back, walks to the where the students were or had, as even he says, "Huh, you must be cheating," as his own hand got ripped off, or like his own leg got ripped off, as it was Zombone's, as he was looking at him with his leg thing missing. The right leg thing was missing. As, yeah, in his mouth. So, yeah. As he was walking, and they see, like, or of course, the students see him all bloody. So, yeah. I forgot to mention, there will be blood. So, yeah. When he walked out, he imagine all that blood came all the way around his entire body. As he was smiling about that blood stuff. It's just like hers, but way more gruesome. As only person that finds this attractive was actually Toga. So yeah, and now because she and was like, you could like just imagine her eyes had like little heart things. So yeah, to him, and as Todoroki looks at her and says, "You're one weird student." She says, "Yeah." As when they were walking away, she tells him that he's in love with, or she's in love with, that guy that has blood. Oh, him? The one that, like, has scars on him? Some say, or actually Todoroki actually got some, he knows that this guy's name, as Todoroki says, he's Zobon. couple of my friends told me what his name was, and meeting him is like, as she says, huh, is that his name? Can't wait. So, sorry. So now I'm skipping the, or not, Cannon Park, Sports Festival. Huh? Like, because the first place goes to Zombo in race, because after having all that, like, when he ain't, like, those high tier villains, you know, and drank their blood, his zombie power thing makes him go, or increases the other powers and quirks to absolute max limit. That's what his father wanted him to do. So he basically went all. So, yeah. And in the cavalry battle, the actually only person that asked him to do the cavalry battle was her. And she actually, or he actually, has this, like, really deep connection to her. So, yeah. So he actually took the headbands, as Toga says, it's not for eats. This is just for fun, okay? Brain. As she says, I know. Oh. So, and the fight one. Hold on. So about that, guys. My nose was driving me crazy. So let's continue. So, yeah, Toga understand as Todoroki against him in the final round, because he did save Ochako from her demise. As, because how, or some, or most of the crowd is cheering, come on, Zombone, show him what you got, or show, as even some girls, as Todoroki he used his flames, because in this alternate version, Todoroki can use his flames because and his ice at the same time. So he used his fire here, but when his, like, he showed, like, actually his shirt got blown off of his entire body, as revealing the how sexy he was. As most of the, like, girls in the crowd, even Midnight, saw how, like, sexy he is, and with battle scars and, like, wounds. So yeah. So then even Toga is so, like, in that mood, as he says, your flames don't affect me. You're actually, that's what he says in his head. But Todoroki says, crud, his flames, or my flames, don't do nothing to him. As he grabs, or this is what he looks like, and he grabs Todoroki by the, like, neck, sending both, or, like, threw Todoroki out of the ring, slammed right into the wall. And yeah, his body looks like there was a bunch of stab wounds and wounds. As his mother saw his wounds, as she's upset at, she knows who's the one that's responsible. Her own husband. As, yeah, basically, when he puts on a fresh, like, shirt, or he literally, like, brains, as plus some of them, or some of the crowd, actually was crying, or not crying. So yeah, so now I'm skipping the, like, camp park and an internship before. So because Zobon already took care of the hero killer Sting, so yeah, so now the, plus during the camp arc, one of the mind reading pussycats and has decided to go into his mind. When she did, she saw abusive, like, that kid is. Like, she literally told Mr. Aizawa about him. Like, literally, she told him that that boy shouldn't be living. As, yeah, he basically. So now, the All Might versus All for One. All Might's down, but not like out, not dead kind. So, All for One uses his beam to try to destroy a like All Might, but ends up he brought those two people away, and he stands right in front of his attack, as he was just like, he did the same thing as him when, as once they were pretty sad because he had to sacrifice his own life to actually to save All Might's and Mr. Aizawa's, or All Might's and that citizen, as they couldn't believe that he was dead. But Zobon had another ability before that he was born with: reincarnation, or actually self-revival. So yeah, he basically revived himself as poof right behind All for One. And I know I'm running out of time, but please wait for part 2